I never imagined that the worst day of my life would begin with something as ordinary as forgetting my laptop. That Tuesday morning started like every other morning. I kissed my husband Ethan goodbye before leaving for work. He smiled, wished me luck for my presentation, and reminded me not to work too late. Nothing about his face suggested he was hiding anything. Around 11:30, I realized I had left my laptop at home. My office was only 15 minutes away, so I told my assistant I would be back before lunch. If I had remembered that laptop, my life might have stayed alive for a little longer. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed Ethan's car was still there. That surprised me. He had told me he had an important meeting across town. Maybe it had been canceled, I thought. I grabbed my keys and quietly unlocked the front door. The house was unusually quiet. Then I heard laughter. A woman's laughter. Soft, comfortable, familiar. It was coming from the kitchen. For a second I smiled. Maybe Vanessa had stopped by. Vanessa had been my best friend for nearly 16 years. She practically had her own key to our house. We celebrated birthdays together, spent holidays together, and cried on each other's shoulders after life's disappointments. I trusted her more than anyone. I walked toward the kitchen without making a sound. Then I stopped. Ethan had his arms wrapped around Vanessa. They weren't standing close by accident. They were kissing. Not the awkward kiss of two people making a terrible mistake. Not the guilty kiss of people caught in a moment of weakness. This was the kiss of two people who had done this many times before. Time froze. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The coffee mug slipped from my hand and shattered across the hardwood floor. The sound echoed through the house. They both turned toward me. I expected panic. I expected guilt. Instead, Vanessa sighed, almost as if I had interrupted something inconvenient. Ethan slowly stepped away from her. His face wasn't filled with regret. It was filled with relief. Claire, I can explain. I stared at him without saying a word. Vanessa crossed her arms. Maybe it's better this way. You deserve to know eventually. Her words hit harder than the betrayal itself. This woman had held my hand when my mother died. She had stood beside me at my wedding. She had slept in our guest room dozens of times. And now she was standing in my kitchen acting as if I was the outsider. I looked at Ethan. How long? He lowered his eyes. Several months. Several months. The words echoed in my mind like a hammer. Every business trip. Every late meeting. Every forgotten anniversary. Every strange phone call. Every little lie suddenly made sense. I felt sick. Vanessa reached for Ethan's hand. He didn't pull away. That hurt more than anything. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw every plate in the kitchen against the wall. Instead, I simply asked one question. Does everyone know? Neither of them answered. That silence was enough. Somewhere along the way, I had become the last person to learn the truth. I turned around and walked toward the front door. Claire, wait. Ethan called after me. Please, let's talk. Not today. Not ever. I walked outside before either of them could stop me. The sunlight felt strangely cold. I sat inside my car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my fingers turned white. For nearly 20 minutes, I couldn't start the engine. I just stared at our front door. The same house where we had built a life together. The same house where we had hosted Christmas dinners. The same house where we had talked about having children. Now it felt like a place I had never belonged. Eventually I drove away. I didn't know where I was going. I only knew I couldn't stay. I checked into a small hotel across town. The room smelled like fresh paint and cheap soap. It wasn't home. But at least nobody there had lied to me. I cried until there were no tears left. Then I sat in silence. That's when I remembered something. 2 days earlier, I had accidentally opened an email on Ethan's laptop. It wasn't meant for me. The subject line read Urgent Internal Audit Confidential at the time. I thought it was just another work message. But something about Ethan's reaction when he realized I had seen it had felt wrong. He had practically grabbed the laptop out of my hands. I didn't think much of it then. Now, everything felt different. That email had mentioned missing company funds, financial discrepancies, an internal investigation. I suddenly realized something. When I walked into my kitchen that afternoon, I thought I had discovered the biggest secret my husband was hiding. I was wrong. The affair was only the beginning. And neither Ethan nor Vanessa had any idea that I already held the first piece of the secret that would eventually destroy both of them. That night I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ethan kissing Vanessa in our kitchen. The image replayed over and over again like a movie I couldn't turn off. At 3 in the morning I gave up trying to sleep. Instead, I made coffee and sat by the hotel window, staring at the empty parking lot. People always say betrayal changes you. They're wrong. Betrayal doesn't change who you are. Changes what you believe. 16 years. That was how long Vanessa had been my best friend. We met during our first week at college. She was loud, fearless, and somehow managed to make everyone around her laugh. I was shy. She adopted me almost immediately. Over the years, we celebrated promotions, birthdays, weddings, and countless holidays together. When my mother passed away, Vanessa stayed with me for an entire week. When she went through a painful divorce, I emptied my savings account to help her start over. I never asked for the money back. She was family, or at least I thought she was. As for Ethan, we met at a charity event 12 years earlier. He wasn't the richest man in the room. He wasn't the most handsome either. But he was kind, or at least he seemed kind. He listened when I spoke. He remembered small details. He made me feel safe. Looking back now, I wondered if that version of Ethan had ever been real, or if I had simply fallen in love with the man he wanted me to see. Around 7 that morning, my phone started vibrating. Ethan. I ignored it. Then another call. And another. By lunchtime, he had called 19 times. He also sent dozens of text messages. Please let me explain. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I'm sorry. Please come home. I deleted every message without replying. Then Vanessa texted me. Claire, I know you hate me, but this isn't as simple as it looks. I laughed out loud, not because it was funny, because I couldn't believe she actually expected sympathy. I blocked both of them, for the first time in nearly 12 years. Silence felt peaceful. That afternoon, I contacted a divorce attorney. His name was Daniel Brooks. He came highly recommended by a colleague at work. His office overlooked downtown, with floor-to-ceiling windows and shelves filled with legal books. Daniel greeted me with a warm handshake. Mrs. Carter, how can I help you? I took a deep breath. My husband cheated on me. With my best friend. I want a divorce. He nodded calmly. Unfortunately, I've heard that sentence more times than I wish I had. For the next hour, I told him everything. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. Claire, I know this may sound strange, but before we discuss divorce, I need to ask you something. Does your husband work for Harlow Financial Group? I blinked. Yes. Why? Daniel looked surprised. Have you heard anything unusual about his company recently? The question immediately reminded me of that email. Julie, 2 days ago, I accidentally saw something on his laptop. It mentioned an internal audit. Daniel's expression changed instantly. Do you remember exactly what it said? Not everything, but I remembered enough. Missing funds, confidential investigation, possible financial misconduct. Daniel remained silent for several seconds. Then he asked another question. Did your husband know you saw that email? I nodded. Yes. He took the laptop away almost immediately. Daniel slowly folded his hands. Claire, I don't want to make assumptions, but that information could become extremely important, especially if the company is conducting a formal investigation. I frowned. What does that have to do with my divorce? Potentially, everything. If your husband is hiding financial problems, even his income, may not be what they appear to be. For the first time since discovering the affair, my attention shifted away from the betrayal. Had Ethan been lying about more than just another woman? Daniel continued. Do not confront him about the email. Do not mention the investigation. Let him believe you know nothing. People hiding one secret often reveal another when they think they're safe. I nodded slowly. That advice felt strange, but it also made sense. As I left Daniel's office, my phone rang again. This time, it wasn't Ethan. It was an unknown number. I almost ignored it. Something told me not to. Hello? A nervous female voice answered. Mrs. Carter? Yes. My name is Melissa. I work in the accounting department with your husband. There's something you need to know. Before I could respond, she whispered only one sentence. Please don't tell anyone I called. Your husband isn't just cheating on you. He's terrified that someone at work is about to expose him. Then, the call disconnected. I stared at my phone in complete silence. Just 24 hours earlier, I believed I was the victim of a heartbreaking affair. Now, it felt like I had accidentally stepped into something much bigger. And for the first time, I began to wonder whether Ethan had ever truly been the man I married. The next morning, I woke up with a strange feeling. For the first time since everything fell apart, I wasn't crying. I was thinking. Melissa's phone call echoed in my head. Your husband isn't just cheating on you. He's terrified that someone at work is about to expose him. I couldn't stop wondering what she meant. Was Ethan stealing? Was he being framed? Or was this all somehow connected? I made myself one promise. I would stop reacting emotionally. From now on, I would only pay attention to facts. That afternoon, Daniel called. Claire, I've started preparing your divorce paperwork. But before we file anything, I'd like you to gather every financial document you can legally access. Tax returns, mortgage statements, bank records, retirement accounts, insurance policies, anything you still have. I spent the rest of the day going through the filing cabinet in our home office. Fortunately, Ethan had always believed paperwork was boring. He usually left everything to me. As I sorted through folders, I noticed something strange. Several bank statements were missing. Not one, not two, almost an entire year's worth. That had never happened before. Ethan was obsessively organized. He labeled every folder, every receipt, every warranty. He never misplaced documents. He wanted them hidden. I searched every drawer, every cabinet. Nothing. Then I remembered something. 2 years earlier, Ethan had rented a private mailbox downtown. He told me it was easier for receiving confidential work documents. At the time, I didn't question it. Now, it suddenly felt important. That evening, Ethan showed up outside my hotel. The receptionist called my room. Mrs. Carter, there's a gentleman asking to see you. He says he's your husband. I closed my eyes. Tell him I'm not here. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Claire, please, just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I didn't answer. Another text appeared. I know you're angry, but I love you. Please don't throw away 12 years over one mistake. One mistake. I stared at those words. One mistake. An affair that lasted months. Hundreds of lies. My best friend. My marriage. My trust. Reduced to one mistake. I blocked his new number. The following afternoon, Daniel invited me back to his office. He placed several documents on the table. Claire, I requested public property records. I noticed something unusual. He slid one document toward me. The address was unfamiliar. What's this? A condominium. Purchased 18 months ago. Owner, Ethan Carter. I looked up in disbelief. What condominium? Exactly. Your husband bought a property without your knowledge. The purchase wasn't illegal. But considering you're married, it's certainly something your divorce attorney should know. The purchase price was nearly $600,000. My heart sank. Where did he get that kind of money? Daniel slowly shook his head. That's the question. According to his reported salary, he shouldn't have been able to afford it. There was another source of income. Or another source of money. The room fell silent. Suddenly, the affair no longer felt like the biggest betrayal. Felt like one piece of a much larger puzzle. Daniel leaned forward. Claire, I'm going to ask you something difficult. Do you trust your husband enough to believe this is all a misunderstanding? I almost laughed. 24 hours earlier, I might have said yes. Now, I wasn't sure I had ever truly known him. As I prepared to leave Daniel's office, his assistant rushed in carrying a folder. Daniel, this just arrived by courier. He opened it. His expression immediately changed. What is it? He looked directly at me. Claire, your husband wasn't the only employee under investigation. I frowned. What do you mean? Daniel turned the folder around. Printed across the first page was a list of names. Near the top, I saw Ethan Carter. A few lines below, another name stopped my heart. Vanessa Mitchell. I stared at the page. My best friend. She wasn't just sleeping with my husband. She worked with him. And according to the investigation, she might have been involved in the same financial scandal. At that moment, I realized something chilling. Their relationship hadn't started because they fell in love. It had started because they shared a dangerous secret. And if that secret came to light, both of them could lose far more than their reputations. I couldn't take my eyes off Vanessa's name. For a long moment, the room was completely silent. Finally, I looked up at Daniel. Are you telling me she's being investigated too? Daniel didn't answer immediately. Instead, he carefully closed the folder. I'm telling you that both names appear in the same internal investigation. That doesn't automatically mean they're guilty, but it does mean they're connected. Connected. The word sent a chill through my body. I had spent the last 24 hours believing my husband had betrayed me because he fell in love with another woman. Now I wasn't so sure. What if they hadn't fallen in love at all? What if they had become partners because they needed to protect the same secret? The thought made my stomach turn. Daniel broke the silence. Claire, from this point forward, I need you to be extremely careful. Don't confront either of them about the investigation. Don't try to gather evidence on your own. And most importantly, don't let them know you've spoken to me. Why? Because people under pressure often make mistakes. If they're hiding something, they'll eventually expose themselves. I nodded. For the first time since my marriage collapsed, I realized this wasn't just an emotional crisis. It had become a legal one. As I left Daniel's office, my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Ethan. It was Vanessa. Not a text. A voicemail. I almost deleted it without listening and said, I pressed play. Claire, I know you hate me, but please hear me out. Ethan isn't who you think he is. He's lying to everyone, including me. Call me when you're ready. The message ended. No apology. No explanation. Just another mystery. I stared at my phone. If Ethan was lying to Vanessa too, then who was he really protecting? That evening, I drove past the condominium Daniel had shown me in the property records. I had no intention of going inside. I just wanted to see it with my own eyes. It was a luxury high-rise overlooking the river. Modern glass walls. Private parking. 24-hour security. Nothing about it matched the life Ethan had described to me. He always complained that money was tight. He insisted we postpone vacations. He convinced me we couldn't renovate our kitchen because we needed to save. Yet somehow, he secretly bought a $600,000 condo. I sat across the street watching the entrance. Half an hour passed. Then I saw them. Ethan stepped out of a black SUV. Vanessa climbed out from the passenger side. They were laughing. She kissed him on the cheek before they walked inside together. Neither of them looked worried. Neither of them looked like people under investigation. For a brief moment, anger almost took control. I wanted to march across the street. I wanted answers. But Daniel's words echoed in my mind. People under pressure make mistakes. Let them believe they're safe. So I drove away. The next morning, something unexpected happened. Melissa called again. This time her voice sounded even more nervous. Mrs. Carter, are you alone? Yes. I can't talk for long. People are asking questions at work. About Ethan. About Vanessa. About missing files. I frowned. Missing files? Someone deleted several financial records from the company server last weekend. IT is trying to recover them. My heart started racing. Do they know who did it? Not yet. But everyone thinks Ethan had access. Before I could ask another question, Melissa whispered something that made my blood run cold. Claire, your husband wasn't trying to hide the affair. The affair was hiding something else. The line went dead. I sat frozen in my chair. The affair wasn't the real story. It was the distraction. Someone wanted everyone to focus on the scandal in Ethan's personal life, instead of asking questions about the company's missing money. An hour later, Daniel called. Claire, I need you to come to my office immediately. His voice was calm. Too calm. When I arrived, he handed me a printed document. What's this? Bank transfer records. My eyes scanned the page. There were dozens of transactions, large amounts.
$52,000, $82,000,
$120,000. The transfers had all gone into the same account. An account registered under a company I had never heard of. Who owns this company? Daniel looked directly at me. That's the strange part. On paper, it's owned by a retired man in Arizona, but investigators believe he's just a front. Someone else has been controlling the money. I looked down again. Then I noticed a familiar address. The registered business address was exactly the same as the condominium Ethan had secretly purchased. I felt my heart pounding. This wasn't just an affair anymore. This wasn't even just financial fraud. Somehow, that luxury apartment sat at the center of everything. And for the first time, I began to fear that discovering my husband's betrayal had pulled me into something far more dangerous than I had ever imagined. For the next 3 days, I heard nothing. No calls from Melissa. No updates from Daniel. No messages from Ethan. The silence should have been comforting. Instead, it felt like standing in the middle of a storm, waiting for the first lightning strike. I threw myself into work, hoping it would distract me. It didn't. Every spreadsheet I looked at reminded me of the missing money. Every married couple I passed on the street reminded me of everything I had lost. Late Thursday afternoon, Daniel finally called. "Claire, I have good news and bad news." I took a deep breath. Start with the bad. The company's investigation has officially become a federal case. I closed my eyes. And the good news? You're no longer financially tied to Ethan's hidden assets. Since we filed for legal separation immediately, your attorney can argue that any undisclosed debts or fraudulent assets belong solely to him. For the first time in days, I felt a tiny sense of relief. It wasn't happiness, but it was hope. Daniel continued. There's something else. Investigators have started interviewing employees, including Vanessa. I frowned. Did she say anything? Not publicly, but according to one source, she looked terrified. That surprised me. The Vanessa I knew never showed fear. She always believed she could talk her way out of anything. She was scared. Something had changed. That evening, I decided to stop living in the hotel. I rented a small apartment across town. It wasn't glamorous. The kitchen was tiny. The furniture was second-hand. The balcony overlooked a parking lot instead of a lake. But for the first time in weeks, everything inside belonged to me. No lies. No secrets. No memories I wanted to erase. As I unpacked my boxes, I found an old photo album. The first picture showed Vanessa and me during our freshman year of college. We looked so young, so certain that we'd be friends forever. The next few pages were filled with birthdays, beach vacations, Christmas dinners, my wedding. There she was, standing beside me as my maid of honor, smiling for every photograph, looking directly into the camera. I wondered something that made my chest tighten. When had she stopped being my friend? Or had she ever truly been one? My phone buzzed. An unknown number. This time I answered. Claire. It was Vanessa. Please don't hang up. I almost did. Instead, I stayed silent. She took a shaky breath. I need to see you. There's something you don't know. I laughed bitterly. That's becoming a very popular sentence lately. She ignored my sarcasm. I'm serious. Ethan has been lying to both of us. If you don't meet me, it'll be too late. I hesitated. Every instinct told me not to trust her. But another part of me wanted answers. Fine. 15 minutes. Public place. Tomorrow morning. She quickly agreed. Thank you. Before I could ask anything else, she hung up. The next morning, I arrived early at a quiet coffee shop. I deliberately chose a table near the entrance. Old habit. Never let someone surprise you. 10 minutes later, Vanessa walked in. She looked completely different. The expensive designer clothes were gone. Her makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. She looked exhausted. She sat down carefully. Thank you for coming. I folded my arms. You have 5 minutes. She nodded. Fair enough. She reached into her purse and placed a small flash drive on the table. What's that? Everything I copied before they deleted it. I stared at the tiny device. Copied what? Financial records. emails, internal reports, transfer approvals. My pulse quickened. Vanessa lowered her voice. Claire, I never stole money. Neither did I create those fake companies. Then who did? She looked around the coffee shop before answering. Ethan. He planned everything. I searched her face for any sign of manipulation. She continued. He convinced me the transfers were legal. He said senior management had approved everything. He promised no one would ever get hurt. Her voice cracked. I believed him. I wanted to hate her. Part of me still did. But for the first time, she sounded less like the woman who stole my husband, and more like someone who had become another victim of his lies. I picked up the flash drive. Why are you giving this to me? Because Ethan found out I made copies. My heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? She swallowed hard. Last night, he threatened me. He said if I talked, I'd regret it. A cold silence settled between us. Then Vanessa whispered the one sentence I never expected to hear. Claire, I don't think Ethan is trying to save himself anymore. I think he's trying to destroy anyone who knows the truth. At that exact moment, the front door of the coffee shop opened. Vanessa looked toward the entrance. Every drop of color disappeared from her face. She grabbed my wrist so tightly it hurt. Don't turn around. He's here. My heart stopped. I didn't turn around. Not immediately. Vanessa's fingers tightened around my wrist. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Please, don't let him see the flash drive. Without saying a word, I slipped it into my handbag and zipped it shut. Only then did I slowly glance toward the entrance. It was Ethan. He stood just inside the coffee shop, scanning the room. He wasn't dressed in one of his expensive business suits anymore. Instead, he wore jeans and a dark jacket. To anyone else, he looked like an ordinary man grabbing a morning coffee, but I knew that face. His smile wasn't real. It never had been. His eyes landed on us. For just a split second, I saw something I had never seen before. Fear. Then it disappeared. He smiled and walked toward our table. Well, this is unexpected. Neither of us answered. He looked at Vanessa first. I've been calling you all morning. Why didn't you answer? She forced a weak smile. My phone died. He didn't believe her. I could tell. His attention shifted to me. Claire, can we talk? I calmly picked up my coffee. There's nothing left to say. Julie, there is. He pulled out a chair without asking. I didn't invite you to sit. He ignored me. That's what Ethan always did. He ignored boundaries. He ignored promises. He ignored consequences. Claire, everything has gotten completely out of control. You have no idea what's happening. I looked directly into his eyes. Then explain it. For the first time since I'd known him, he hesitated. Instead of answering, he looked at Vanessa. You told her something, didn't you? Vanessa shook her head. No. Ethan leaned closer. Don't lie to me. I know you've been copying files. The air between them instantly changed. This wasn't a conversation between lovers. It sounded like two frightened people who no longer trusted each other. Vanessa slowly stood. I'm leaving. Ethan grabbed her arm. You're not going anywhere. Several customers looked over. Vanessa pulled away. Don't touch me. People were staring now. The barista glanced toward the manager. Ethan immediately let go. He smiled again. The fake smile. The one he always used when someone else was watching. Fine. Go. Vanessa hurried toward the exit without looking back. For a brief second, I considered following her. Instead, I stayed exactly where I was. Ethan sighed. She's becoming emotional. I replied quietly. No. She's becoming scared. His expression hardened. Claire, whatever she's telling you, she's lying. I tilted my head. Interesting. Because both of you keep saying the other one is lying. Maybe neither of you is telling the truth. He rubbed his forehead. You don't understand. Understand what? That everything was a mistake? That the affair was an accident? That buying a secret condo was normal? That hiding hundreds of thousands of dollars was somehow my fault? His face turned pale. Who told you about the condo? I smiled for the first time in weeks. That wasn't an answer. His silence answered for him. For nearly 10 seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, He leaned closer and lowered his voice. Claire, listen carefully. People are going to say terrible things about me. Some of them will even be true. But there are people involved in this. People much more dangerous than you realize. If anyone contacts you, stay out of it. Walk away. I stared at him. For the first time, he sounded genuinely afraid. Not afraid of prison. Not afraid of losing me. Afraid of someone else. Before I could ask another question, his phone rang. He looked at the screen. Every bit of color disappeared from his face. He answered immediately. I'm on my way. No, don't do anything until I get there. He ended the call and stood up. I have to go. Where? He didn't answer. And said, he looked directly at me. If you still care about your own safety, destroy whatever Vanessa gave you. Then he walked away. I watched him disappear through the front door. A strange feeling settled over me. Something wasn't right. This wasn't the behavior of a man trying to save a marriage. It was the behavior of someone trying to stop a disaster. An hour later, I was sitting in Daniel's office. He plugged the flash drive into a secure laptop. Hundreds of files appeared on the screen. Bank transfers, internal emails, accounting reports, corporate contracts. Daniel spent several minutes silently reading. Then, he stopped scrolling. Claire, come look at this. He walked over. It was an email chain between Ethan and several unknown people. Most of it was written in coded business language. Then one sentence caught my attention. If Claire ever finds out, move everything before the audit begins. I felt my stomach drop. Daniel opened another document. This one contained scanned signatures. Dozens of them. One signature looked painfully familiar. Mine. Except, I had never signed those papers. I stared at Daniel. Someone forged my signature. He nodded slowly. Yes, and according to these documents, you appear to have approved several financial transactions worth more than $3 million. The room suddenly felt too small. I couldn't breathe. If investigators believed these records, I wasn't just Ethan's wife. I was about to become his accomplice. I couldn't move. $3 million. According to those documents, I had personally approved transactions that I had never even seen. I looked at Daniel. Tell me this can be fixed. He took a slow breath. Yes, but only if we prove those signatures are forged before investigators decide you were involved. I felt my knees weaken. I dropped into the chair across from his desk. How could Ethan do this? Daniel didn't answer immediately. Instead, he closed the laptop. Claire, people who commit financial fraud often need someone else to absorb the blame, especially someone whose signature already appears on legitimate family documents. He had been preparing this for a long time. Not weeks, not months, years. The realization hit harder than discovering the affair. I wasn't simply the wife he betrayed. I had been his insurance policy. If everything collapsed, I would collapse with him. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Finally, Daniel broke the silence. Do you remember signing any business documents for Ethan? I thought carefully. Only once. About 4 years ago. He told me the company needed my signature because we jointly owned an investment property. He said it was routine paperwork. Daniel nodded. That was probably when he obtained a clean sample of your signature. After that, it becomes much easier to create convincing forgeries. A chill ran down my spine. Every memory of our marriage suddenly felt different. Every document, every favor, every signature. How many lies had I unknowingly agreed to? Daniel handed me a bottle of water. Claire, there's another problem. What now? The flash drive proves Ethan was involved, but it doesn't prove you weren't. My heart sank. What do you mean? Investigators need evidence showing someone else created those documents, not just evidence that they exist. I nodded slowly. So, how do we prove it? Daniel smiled for the first time that day. We let Ethan make one more mistake. The following morning, federal investigators contacted my attorney. They wanted an interview. Daniel insisted we cooperate completely. When we arrived, 2 investigators introduced themselves. Special Agent Rebecca Collins, Special Agent Mark Hughes. Their questions were calm, professional. Mrs. Carter, When did you first become aware of your husband's financial activities? I answered honestly. The affair came first. The financial documents came later. Did you ever authorize these wire transfers? No. Did you own or control any of these shell companies? No. Have you ever visited this address? The photograph slid across the table. It was the luxury condominium. Only once. After I learned it existed. Have you ever received money from these accounts? Never. Rebecca watched me carefully. People often lie during interviews. I could tell she was trying to decide which kind of person I was. When the interview ended, she surprised me. Mrs. Carter, please don't leave town for a few days. We may need to speak again. I nodded. Of course. As Daniel and I walked toward the parking garage, he quietly said, "That went well." You believe them? I believe they haven't decided yet. And that's enough for now. That evening, my phone buzzed. Another unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hello? Claire. It was Ethan. His voice sounded completely different. No confidence. No arrogance. Only panic. Please, I need your help. I remained silent. They're coming after me. I don't know who I can trust anymore. I almost laughed. For 12 years, you told me I was the only person you trusted. Then you replaced me with my best friend. Now you suddenly need my help? Claire, please, just listen. I shouldn't have done what I did. I'm sorry for everything. But this isn't about us anymore. People are disappearing. I frowned. What are you talking about? From accounting. She never came home last night. My grip tightened around the phone. What? Nobody can reach her. Her apartment is empty. Her neighbors said 2 men came looking for her yesterday afternoon. A heavy silence filled the room. For the first time, this story no longer felt like a divorce. It felt dangerous. Ethan continued. You have something, don't you? I said nothing. The flash drive. Vanessa told me she copied everything. Claire, whatever you do, don't open the folder named Horizon. Delete it. Immediately. My heartbeat accelerated. Why? Because if you see what's inside, you'll understand why people are willing to destroy lives to keep it hidden. Before I could ask another question, the call ended. Seconds later, my apartment lights suddenly went out. Everything went dark. First, I assumed it was a power outage. Then I heard something. Slow, deliberate knock. 3 soft knocks. Coming from my front door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I looked through the peephole. No one. The hallway was empty. Just as I stepped back, my phone vibrated. A text message from an unknown number. We know you have the drive. Don't make the same mistake Melissa did. My blood turned cold. Then, a second message appeared. This one included a photograph. It was taken only seconds earlier. Someone had photographed me, standing behind my own front door. My entire body froze. Someone had taken my picture from outside my apartment. Only seconds earlier. I pulled the curtains shut, locked every window, and backed away from the front door. Another message appeared. Do not call the police. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Then instinct took over. I called Daniel. He answered on the second ring. Claire, something's wrong. I explained everything as quickly as I could. The text messages, the photograph, the power outage, the knock at my door. Daniel interrupted me. Don't stay there. I'm sending someone to pick you up. Who? 2 federal agents. Stay inside until they arrive. 20 minutes later, the lights came back on. 5 minutes after that, there was another knock. This time, a calm voice spoke from outside. Mrs. Carter, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Please verify our badges through the peephole before opening the door. I looked carefully. 2 agents stood in the hallway. Rebecca Collins, Mark Hughes, the same investigators from earlier. Only then did I unlock the door. Rebecca looked around my apartment before speaking. You're coming with us. Now. An hour later, I was sitting inside a secure interview room at the federal building. Rebecca placed my phone on the table. We traced the messages. They weren't sent from Ethan. I wasn't surprised. Then who? She exchanged a glance with Mark. That's what we're trying to find out. Mark connected the flash drive to an isolated computer. Claire, We searched the files you gave us. Everything except one folder. The folder named Horizon. I immediately remembered Ethan's warning. Delete it. Immediately. Rebecca clicked the folder open. Hundreds of documents appeared. Bank records, property deeds, corporate contracts, international transfers. But one file caught everyone's attention. It was simply called Insurance. Rebecca opened it. The room fell silent. Inside was a spreadsheet. Names, dates,
dollar amounts.
Beside each name, one word. Protected, paid, removed. My heart began pounding. Removed? What does that mean? No one answered. Rebecca kept scrolling. Halfway down the list, I saw a familiar name. Melissa Carter. Accounting department. That is, removed. I looked at Rebecca. What does that mean? Her expression changed instantly. Mark, call the field office. Now. Mark grabbed his phone and hurried out of the room. Rebecca looked at me. Claire, I need you to answer one question. Has anyone besides Ethan and Vanessa known that you had this flash drive? I shook my head. No. She didn't look convinced. Before she could speak again, the door burst open. Mark rushed back inside. We found Melissa. Alive? Rebecca asked. Mark nodded. Barely. She was found unconscious inside an abandoned warehouse 20 miles outside the city. The room became completely silent. Melissa wasn't missing. Someone had tried to make sure she never spoke again. Rebecca closed the laptop. This isn't just financial fraud anymore. It's witness intimidation. Possibly attempted murder. I felt sick. Everything had become far bigger than I ever imagined. Suddenly, the affair seemed insignificant. Rebecca stood. Claire, from this moment forward, you're under federal protection. You'll be moved to a secure location tonight.
Esther here.
How long? Until we arrest everyone involved. Everyone. Rebecca hesitated. We don't believe Ethan is the leader. That sentence shocked me. What do you mean? We believe your husband was following orders. Someone else created this operation. Someone with much more influence. Someone who hasn't appeared in any of the documents. I frowned. Who? Rebecca slowly turned the laptop toward me. One final document had just been decrypted. It wasn't a bank record. It wasn't a contract. It was a list of private meetings. Every meeting included the same name. The person who had approved every major financial decision over the past 6 years. I read the name. Then I stopped breathing. I had met that man. Twice. He had attended our wedding. He had eaten dinner in my home. He had even given Ethan career advice. I looked up at Rebecca. No, that can't be possible. She nodded slowly. We're afraid it is. The mastermind behind everything was Ethan's respected mentor, the chief financial officer of Harlow Financial Group. And according to the latest evidence, he had already disappeared. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. The chief financial officer, Richard Lawson, a man everyone admired, a man whose face appeared in business magazines, a man who spoke at charity events and university graduations, a man who had shaken my hand at my wedding and told Ethan, "You have a bright future." Rebecca quietly closed the file. Richard Lawson disappeared 12 hours ago. His passport was used at a private airport just outside the city. We believe he intended to leave the country. I looked at her. Did he? She slowly shook her head. No, he never boarded the plane. He's still missing. The next 48 hours felt unreal. News channels exploded with the story. Harlow Financial Group announced the immediate suspension of several executives. Federal agents searched company offices. Financial records were seized. Luxury homes were raided. Every hour seemed to reveal another secret. Then came the biggest headline. Federal prosecutors charged Ethan Carter with conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, and forgery. Vanessa was also arrested. Unlike Ethan, she immediately agreed to cooperate. She turned over every password, every email, every document she still had. Her testimony confirmed what investigators had suspected. Richard Lawson had created the entire operation years earlier. Ethan wasn't innocent. Far from it. But he had never been the mastermind. He was the man who followed orders because he wanted money. Vanessa followed Ethan because she believed he was building a perfect future. All three of them made choices, and every choice carried a price. Several weeks later, I received a phone call from Rebecca. "Claire, would you be willing to testify?" I didn't answer immediately. Part of me wanted to forget everything, to move away, to erase the last 12 years. But another part of me knew. Silence had allowed the lies to grow. "I'll testify." The courtroom was packed. Journalists filled every seat. Cameras waited outside. Families of investors sat quietly in the gallery. Some had lost their retirement savings. Others had lost businesses they spent decades building. This case had never been only about me. It had hurt hundreds of innocent people. When Ethan entered the courtroom, I barely recognized him. His expensive suits were gone. His confident smile had disappeared. He looked exhausted, older, broken. For just a second, our eyes met. He looked away first. Vanessa testified before I did. She admitted her role. She apologized, not only to me, but to everyone whose lives had been damaged. Then it was my turn. I told the truth. Not more, not less. I explained how I discovered the affair, how I found the email, how the flash drive reached me, how my signature had been forged. When I finished, the courtroom was completely silent. Months later, the verdict finally arrived. Richard Lawson was arrested overseas after attempting to enter another country using a false identity. He was extradited back to the United States. The jury found him guilty on every major charge. Ethan was convicted. Vanessa received a reduced sentence because of her cooperation. Millions of dollars were recovered and returned to victims. Not everything could be repaired, but justice had finally begun. 1 year later, my life looked nothing like it once had. I had opened a small financial consulting business focused on fraud prevention. Ironically, the worst experience of my life had become the reason I could help other people protect themselves. One quiet Saturday morning, I stopped at a small neighborhood coffee shop. As I waited for my order, someone quietly spoke my name. "Claire." I turned around. It was Ethan. He looked thinner. His hair had turned gray around the temples. There was no arrogance left, only regret. "May I sit down?" For a moment, I considered saying no, and said, I nodded. He sat across from me. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally, he whispered, "I'm sorry. Not because I got caught, because I destroyed the only person who ever truly loved me." I looked at him calmly. For years, I had imagined this moment. I thought hearing those words would heal me. It didn't, because healing had already happened long before today. It happened the moment I stopped waiting for an apology. Ethan lowered his head. I would give anything to change what I did. I smiled gently. That's the problem with betrayal. You don't pay for it when you make the choice. You pay for it every day after. He closed his eyes. I stood up and picked up my coffee. Before walking away, I looked at him one last time. "The day you chose her, you thought you were stealing my future, but all you really stole was your own." I walked out into the morning sunlight. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking away from my past. I was walking toward my future, and I never looked back. If this story reminded you that betrayal never has the final word, remember this. The people who hurt you may change your life, but they do not get to define it. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes that truth always finds its way to the surface.